The last action I ever took of my own volition was to claw at my own ear, screaming in panic and agony. The parasite had waited until I was asleep to make its move. By the time I woke up, it was far too late to keep it from burrowing deeper. I've since given a great deal of thought to various ways I might extract the parasite, but such thoughts are purely for my own entertainment. I'll never have the chance to put any of them into action. I always imagine the parasite as resembling a worm, under an inch in length, curled into the spiral of my inner ear. I can envision it having affixed itself to the wall of the cochlea, extending tendrils through it and into my brain. I no longer feel it there, but its presence is undeniable. I know this because, since that painful morning, I have lost all control over my body. I am little more than a passenger, watching powerlessly as the parasite dictates my every action. At first, the strangest thing about my new situation was how little changed. The parasite was apparently content to resume my daily routines, acting how I would have on my own. I do not know how it knew where I work. Perhaps its grip on my mind extended to accessing my memories. I can suppose that this strangely banal few weeks were camouflage. If I began to behave erratically, someone might have noticed that something was amiss. I don't think it necessarily needed to worry about this, to be honest. I live alone and have few friends, so I don't know who would have noticed any changes in behavior and cared enough to take action. Maybe this is why it chose me as its host. The variations from my own routine began in small ways. The first incident I noticed was a trip to the hardware store, where it bought a tape measure. Little trips like this became increasingly common over the second month of my possession. It never visited the same store twice, and it never bought more than one or two small items. Duct tape, scissors, zip ties, a raincoat, gloves. I could only speculate on the purpose of these purchases, but without having to take part in any part of my own life, I had plenty of time to speculate. One of my darker theories was proven correct when it murdered someone. He was one of my coworkers at the pharmacy. Although we had barely ever spoken, he was perfectly talkative, always chattering away with the others about conspiracy theories and his own inane ideas about philosophy and the afterlife. As a human, I was too much of an introvert to ever react to him much, so I suppose he found me boring. One Saturday at the end of a particularly tiring shift, the parasite stayed on the clock just long enough to see him leave, then discreetly followed him out of the building. He lived close enough that he commuted by foot rather than by car, walking along the edge of the woods towards his neighborhood. He had his headphones in, so he was completely oblivious as I crept up behind him. The moment he became aware of my presence was when the scissors pierced the side of his neck. He tried to speak, or perhaps to scream, but no voice came to him. Instead, merely opening and closing his mouth like a suffocating fish, he slumped to the ground, bleeding onto the gravel of the path, and I quickly pocketed the scissors and went on my way, as if nothing had happened. Nobody had seen it happen. At first, I was struck by how easy it was to kill someone. I always imagined that murdering someone would be a long, messy affair, with the victim flailing and screaming and fighting back. The way my coworker died, it was about as dramatic of a confrontation as unscrewing a light bulb. One moment he was a man, the next he was meat. Is it always like that? Or is the parasite simply an expert at killing? Never having taken a life of my own volition, I couldn't say. The parasite's actions and intentions were, and still are, completely opaque to me. When I returned to work the next day, I was sure that there would be a cloud of fear and paranoia suffocating the workplace. But everything was the same. Nobody had reported the murder. The only thing out of place was that there was a little less monotonous chatter during my breaks. It was one of the more pleasant days I've had at work. The second person the parasite killed was an old lady who lived in my apartment complex. I can't say she deserved to be murdered, although she did have a habit of leaving long, hostile notes on my door whenever I made even the slightest noise after sunset. Getting into her apartment was a simple affair. I simply knocked on her door, and when she started to crack it open, I shoved it forcefully, knocking her over in the process. A little duct tape over the mouth kept her from raising a fuss, and with that, there was nothing to prevent the parasite from its bloody work. I'll spare you the description of the torment the parasite subjected her to, although I confess I was impressed with its sadistic creativity. But the end result was the same as with its first victim. A person became a thing, and the world was none the wiser as to the identity of her killer. As a helpless spectator in what I was beginning to think of as the parasite's body more than my own, I found myself looking forward to the killings. My ordinary life was so achingly dull, even when I was in control of it, so having to watch someone else go through the motions was almost unbearable. The murders, however, gave me something to look forward to. Who was it planning to kill next? What was its plan for evading detection? I had a front row seat to a series of murder mysteries that the world seemed powerless to solve. I alone knew the horrible secret of their alien perpetrator. The best part of the whole affair was that it never seemed interested in killing anyone I liked. Each time it took a life, it was someone who would scarcely be missed, and my own life became a little bit more comfortable. Taking the train home, I can hardly hear myself think. A homeless man has set up a keyboard in the middle of the car, playing discordant tones and hollering about Jesus, harassing everyone around him for money. Each time his keyboard's digital parody of a pipe organ plays another shrill chord, it's like an ice pick to my brain. If only this person would disappear, I'd be able to enjoy my commute in peace. Yes, that's perfect. I think this will be the parasite's next victim. Hey guys and ladies, thanks for watching. Be good to animals, even people. See ya.
Ja, snälla, Bergsbus, Rish.